I think one of the most painful feelings in the world is looking around and feeling like everyone else's life is moving forward except yours, right? Especially now because we're constantly seeing everybody's highlights all day long, all day long, all day long. Someone's getting married, someone's business is blowing up, someone's moving countries. Someone's buying their dream apartment. Someone's hitting 6, 7 figures. And meanwhile, you're sitting there thinking, what the fuck is happening with my life? Like, why does it feel like everyone else got the memo except me? And I really wanted to make this video because I know so many people are quietly carrying this feeling around, this feeling of being behind in life. And I think when you stay in that state for too long, you start becoming really harsh with yourself. You stop speaking to yourself with softness whatsoever. Everything becomes pressure, force, panic, comparison, overthinking. So in this video, I just want to help you understand what could actually be happening internally during periods that your brain has labeled as failure or delay. So you can maybe show yourself a bit more grace during this time instead of trying to bulldoze your way through life like you're some kind of robot. That's literally what you're doing. You're trying to bulldoze through this period where so much is going on internally and you're not showing yourself any grace. You're just constantly comparing yourself to everyone online or whatever. This is something I've been having to help clients with because I've realized that people massively underestimate how dysregulating success can actually be for the human nervous system. Everybody wants success until success starts demanding change from them. More visibility, more responsibility, more pressure, more attention, more expectations, more people projecting onto you. Your relationships change. Yeah, your identity changes, your routine changes, the way people perceive you changes, even the way you perceive yourself starts changing. It's not all about quantum leaping and then living happily ever after, walking into the sunset with your soulmate. This is why so many people almost make it and then sabotage the opportunity right at the last second. They procrastinate, disappear, self-isolate, pick fights, spiral emotionally, suddenly lose motivation, start doubting everything. And from the outside, it looks irrational because people are like, you were so close. But internally, their nervous system is freaking the hell out because human beings are deeply attached to familiarity, even when the familiar thing is painful. Familiar pain still feels predictable. There's a weird, even perverse comfort in knowing who you are inside struggle. A lot of people know how to survive. They know how to change. They know how to long for things. They know how to operate from not there yet, but actually receiving the thing and becoming the version of yourself that can hold it consistently. That's a completely different experience, emotionally, psychologically. And I think sometimes what people call manifestation delays are actually nervous system buffering periods. Like your internal world is trying to catch up to the life you keep saying you want. Your body is trying to adjust to a completely different reality. I've seen this happen so many times where somebody's life starts expanding and suddenly they collapse emotionally right before the breakthrough. They get exhausted, numb, overwhelmed, depressed, can't get out of bed, doubtful, confused. And because they don't understand what's happening, they think they are failing when really their entire system is trying to recalibrate around change. And comparison makes all of this worse because comparison completely dysregulates identity. You stop relating to your own life directly and start measuring yourself through everybody else's timeline. It's so cruel. Their success starts feeling like evidence against you. Like if they made it faster, then there must be something wrong with you, right? Why else would there be a delay, right? It creates a shame loop. And, I found myself the other day whinging about life. I was complaining internally, like, oh, well, I'm not where I want to be yet. I could have written a book by now. All this nonsense, whinging, right? And suddenly I I remembered my 2025 vision board, and I might stick it up there somewhere. Every single thing I had on my 2025 vision board, I achieved. Every single thing to the T. I had a picture in the middle, I had a massive picture of Chelsea with all, a picture of Chelsea, red brick apartments, Knightsbridge. And I now live in Chelsea. And as I walk through the streets of Kensington, I remember a few years ago when I dreamt of living in Chelsea. And now I live here, and I totally discount the fact that I worked hard to be able to live here, because my baseline identity has become insufficiency. The goalpost is always moving. I never let myself actually register what I've accomplished. It's always like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? I had my first podcast invitation last month, and it was my first ever podcast that I attended. It went really well. Didn't let myself celebrate it. Came home thinking, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Like, when your baseline identity is that insufficiency, the lack, the constantly looking for it's just fucking gnarly, right? It's so unfair. What you're doing to yourself is so unloving. And I talk about self-love. I talk about self-acceptance and self-love. There's always another level, another milestone, another standard, another fucking comparison. And if your emotional baseline is insufficiency, then no achievement will ever let you emotionally land anywhere, because your nervous system has already attached itself to not enough as an identity. I also think a lot about how people inherit emotional ceilings from their environment. Like, sometimes your parents' biggest dream was building stability, like stability and safety. For my parents, it was buying a house. Just buy a house, and then you can live off of passive income. That was their ambition, their ceiling. They wanted the same for me. It took me a very long time to realize that I don't give a rat's ass about real estate. I don't. I didn't want to live that safe life that they had and they taught me. I just don't give a shit about real estate. I don't care. It took me so long. For so long, I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy a house, and then I'm going to buy another one. And I don't give a fuck about buying houses. I care about this work. I care about financial trauma. My whole channel is about helping people understand their subconscious blocks around money and the nervous system patterns around money, because this is what's keeping people financially stuck. And I am having an impact on people. This work makes me feel so alive. This work makes me feel so alive. When people tell me that they were able to raise their prices after working with me, they were able to accept their inheritance without feeling guilt and shame after working with me, they were able to have their breakthrough after doing my work, this makes me feel alive. But I don't relish the prospect of buying a freaking house and getting tenants in, and then collecting rent. Like, okay, obviously there's nothing wrong with that. Like, your parents taught you about safety, building safety, prioritizing safety. But when you're trying to build a completely different reality for yourself, your nervous system can start feeling torn between expansion and familiarity. Part of you wants more. Part of you feels guilty for wanting more. Part of you is scared of what happens if you outgrow the emotional reality you came from. And this is why ambition can become emotionally cannibalistic after a while, because if every achievement immediately gets swallowed by, yeah, but it's still not enough, still not enough, still not enough, then your ambition slowly turns against you. You stop enjoying your life, because your brain is constantly placing your sense of worth in the future somewhere. And I think people need to ask themselves this honestly. Will you actually let yourself enjoy where you've arrived? Or are you committed to staying psychologically stuck in I'll be enough when forever? Because if you keep living like that, there is no fucking finish line. Your life just becomes one long moving goalpost. And I know it's hard when you feel behind. I know it's hard watching people accelerate while you feel stuck, but maybe your life isn't behind. Maybe you're in this really uncomfortable space between who you were conditioned to be and who your nervous system is slowly learning it's safe to become. And that process can feel messy and emotional and frustrating and lonely sometimes, but it doesn't mean your life isn't moving. There's always movement. Really ask yourself, is there no movement? I want you to really look at your life and see, is there really no movement? Are you still living the life that your parents handed down to you? Are you still living in the paradigm that your parents handed down to you? Haven't you made any progress? Because I wager my fine ass you have. I wager there's been radical changes, but you haven't actually given yourself the time to celebrate any of it. So be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Show yourself love and some softness. And let your accomplishments land. Thank you so much for watching. Sending you love, and I will see you in a jiffy.